Hi, this is Patricia. I have Deborah Trialonis here with me, who works at Penn State University, and she is studying to become a paralegal. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Patricia. How are you?
Good. How are you today?
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much for helping me with this interview today.
Oh, sure.
I'd like
to.
to ask you a few questions
Okay.
about your studies in paralegal and what brought you to becoming a paralegal. And what made you decide that you'd like to be a paralegal?
Oh, it's an interest I've always had. Ever since high school, when I was out of high school, I went to school for legal secretary, as a matter of fact, at Bucks County Community College. And then I worked in a law firm for a few years. Changed direction for a while, but I've always enjoyed law, specifically the research that's associated with law. I love finding things out.
And from what I'm learning and understanding, research is such a huge component of every facet of law that you would probably work in.
And the thing with law, too, is you can always fall back on it. Every job I've had at Penn State has in some way had to do with either one department was research protection, another department was governmental affairs. The department I'm in now is an ethical institute department. So,
Oh, okay. And I wanted to ask you some questions about that regarding your positions at Penn State. So could you elaborate a little bit about your position when you worked in governmental affairs and how it's related to what you're studying now?
Sure, and like I said, governmental affairs was the first department that had any association with law, in that we worked very closely with senators, congressmen and women, because they're, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Okay, take your time.
A lot of what operates Penn State, a lot of the things that happen in Harrisburg and happen in Washington can have a huge effect on a university the size of Penn State. We get a lot of federal funding for our research, our defense programs. We also get a lot of state funding, which is part of being a land-grant institution. So my background in law helped in that position, helped at least understand the reasons for having to work very closely with people in Washington and Harrisburg. There's a lot of laws that could be passed that could hurt Penn State, a lot of laws that could be passed that could help Penn State. So having a good relationship with people there, they were interested in what could benefit Penn State. People don't realize the impact a university that size has on the state.
Well, and it's our state university as
Absolutely.
well, so there's a lot of interest there, I'm sure, with state government as well as leading up to federal government.
Sure. And then the department I worked for after that was the Office for Research Protections, because people also don't realize the amount of research that Penn State does. They could be researching something that could affect farmers. They could be doing research that could have a huge impact on our defense in this country. So my office was responsible for making sure that we complied with all of the protocols that the federal government had in place for the research funding. Because if the federal government is going to give us money, then we have to be in compliance with what they set up in terms of their protocols for research.
Right, exactly.
So again, legal background helped there. And the department I'm in now.
What is the department you're in now?
Funny you should ask. The Rock Ethics Institute, and basically we have 5 different initiatives that we work with there. Ethical leadership, which we've had a lot of, some bad leadership issues going on with Penn State over the past year, so there's a lot of pressure on this department for that. Ethical philosophy of race, bioethics, ethical climate issues. So it's many different.
And that's a big focus today is on environmental issues and sustainable energy too. So I could see where that could be a big concern for Penn State and wanting to be, at the top of interest groups and leading into something like that. Well, it sounds like you have had a lot of relevant experience in this field.
Well, that's the nice thing with law. Anything in law, whether it's paralegal studies, whether it's actually somebody pursuing a law degree, it can be, you can associate with so many different areas of work.
That's great. What area of law do you see yourself working in when you complete this degree? Do you want to stay with Penn State? Do you want to, pursue your studies and your, expertise in another area of interest, that you have something else like that you think about that you really want to work in?
I mean, I enjoy working for Penn State University. I think there's certainly potential for growth, potential for using the certification I will be gaining with the paralegal studies, but it's, I mean, I think I will probably use it in the way you do now, in my work with Penn State.
I mean, I'm finding that there's so many different areas that you can work in, you know, such as corporate law, family law, there's judicial law, litigation, and of course research, and it seems like, again, the focus is so much on research.
And I enjoy research. I enjoy...
yeah, and you have said that, and you really like the investigative part of it.
I do. I like finding things out. I like finding out who did something. I like finding out just the whys, the what, the where, the when, the how, and a lot of paralegal work is basically that. You're there.
You like to look for answers and find the answers. What do you feel are the most important skills that you need to be a successful paralegal?
Well, there's got to be a level of loyalty both to the attorney you're working for, the clients that are hiring for your services. So I think, I mean, you have to have the knowledge of law, first of all, first and foremost. Then you've got to have, you've got to understand the need for confidentiality, because you're working with very sensitive issues. It's just...
it's just the confidentiality and Privacy Act and privacy, I guess, of your client that is of the utmost importance.
Well, you've got to be sensitive to your client's needs. You have to be sensitive to the fact that you're going to, you know, learn possibly some very personal things about that client. And it's important to know that you've got to respect their privacy.
Okay, well that sounds really good, and I think that you've helped give me a better insight about the paralegal career too. So I really appreciate your time today. Thank you very much for helping me with the interview today.
You're quite welcome, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Hello. Oh, is it still running?
It's still